What are some items excluded and included? Let's talk about those. First, let's go through the items that are included. Well, the practitioner examination report, this is the end product, the end deliverable. What are we going to include here? Well, we're going to include a title word that includes the word independent. We want to make sure we're independent. If we're providing any level of assurance, we are independent. Remember that? We are going to include the identification of the responsible party's assertion about the entity's compliance with specified requirements, including the period covered. So we want to include who the party is, what's the period? Is this for the fiscal year, right? What is it? Is it for 6 months? We want to include any details about what we did, right? A statement that compliance with the requirements is the responsibility of the entity's management. We are just here to attest to that. Again, just repeating that, whether it's the financial statements are the responsibility of management, internal controls are the responsibility of management, and compliance is the responsibility of management. We actually see a lot of times in other engagement types that in the end report, it'll say that it is management's responsibility to comply with laws and regulations. Now, obviously, this engagement focuses specifically on that, but it is mentioned in many other reports. We're also going to include a statement that the practitioner's responsibility is to express an opinion on the responsible party's assertion on the entity's compliance with those requirements. So essentially, what are our responsibilities? What are management's responsibilities? Who is in charge of what? We're not trying to take responsibility for anything that we didn't do work for. We've also got a statement that the examination was conducted in accordance with attestation standards by the AICPA, right? Talking about the criteria and how we conducted the engagement. We got some more items that we're going to include in that examination report. We're also going to include a statement that the practitioner believes the examination that they conducted provides a reasonable basis for his or her opinion. Sounds good there. We're going to include a statement that the examination does not provide a legal determination of the entity's compliance. Now, that's an interesting one, right? We're not lawyers. We are saying that as accountants, as CPAs, as examiners, we've examined the financial statements and, in our opinion, they look good. But this is not a legal determination. Essentially, this will not hold up in court. The practitioner's opinion on whether essentially they were in compliance, materially in compliance, a statement restricting the use of the report. So that's another interesting one. Usually, as we've said, like what is sort of the basis here? What's the basis? Why are we conducting this engagement? Well, the bank wants us to get a compliance engagement done for their client. It's going to be restricted for the bank to use only. We don't want anyone else picking up this report, potentially making some misjudgments based on the company with that report. So it's going to be restricted in use, probably likely only for whoever wanted the engagement done in the first place. Now, obviously, the client can use it also, but really just for that bank or for the government agency that wanted it done. Another example, we could have a not-for-profit organization or a company receiving a federal grant, receiving money from the federal government. And with that, that federal governmental agency might want a compliance engagement done to make sure that government money is being used properly. Some more examples of what we might see when it comes to this. We're going to want to see a manual or printed signature of the firm and the date it was done. Looking good there. Here is an example of a clean opinion, an unmodified opinion, perfect opinion, wonderful opinion when it comes to compliance. The following is the form of report that a practitioner should use when expressing an opinion about compliance. And in this case, we have a clean opinion. We've examined management's assertion included in the accompanying report that so-and-so entity complied with all of these compliance requirements during this period until this date. Management's responsible for the compliance. Our responsibility is to express an opinion, blah, 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 blah. Here's the scope of the engagement. Here's the opinion. In our opinion, management's assertion that XYZ company complied with all of the aforementioned requirements up here during the period is fairly stated in all material respects. There we go. That's our example of what we would see for our clean opinion. What about modifications to that nice clean opinion? Any changes to it? Anything we're going to see that's going to give us possibly an adverse opinion or a qualified opinion? Well, when an examination of an entity's compliance with specified requirements discloses non-compliance with the applicable requirements that the practitioner believes have a material effect on the entity's compliance, right? If they're $1 out of compliance, okay, it's probably not a big deal. But if they're out of compliance by $1 million, that is probably a big deal. What are we going to do here? Well, they should modify the report and to most effectively communicate with the reader of the report, usually the bank or the government agency, should state his or her opinion on the entity's specified compliance requirements, not on the responsible party's assertion. That is what we're going to do. Let's dive into more topics on the modification of that opinion. Here, we're going to talk about that qualified opinion, similar to other engagement types, similar to an audit. We have qualified opinions, we have adverse opinions, we could also disclaim the opinion. The following we're going to see on the next slide is the form of the report with all of the qualified opinion language and how it should look. We see here we've examined compliance with the requirements. Our responsibility is to express an opinion. We're going to have an explanatory paragraph about why it's qualified. Our examination disclosed the following material noncompliance. And what's the difference between qualified and adverse again? Well, qualified is usually except for, right? So in our opinion, except for this one particular instance of material noncompliance, they are compliant. Adverse opinion is pervasive. A pervasive issue is an issue that is all throughout the financial statements or essentially just a really big deal. And that we'll see that opinion later as well. Basically going to say the issue is too bad. We can't give a clean opinion at all. Qualified is kind of in the middle. It's like, all right, things are bad, but not that bad. So we'll continue on and see that. Adverse opinion, right? We're about to see that adverse opinion. Let's take a look here. Here, we are going to see in our opinion, because of the effect of the noncompliance described in the third paragraph, which is going to be our explanatory paragraph, the entity has not complied, done, no negotiations, they've not complied, this is adverse, it's a big deal, it's a problem. Hey there, are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.